Hello, I'm Chef Aaron Roth, and welcome to Mrs. Joe's Petite Patisserie and Cafe, located here in Tyson's Corner, Virginia. Today, I will teach you how to make a bread pudding. Now, bread pudding has many different breads that you can use, and it started back in Europe in the 11th and 12th century where people were using leftover stale bread instead of throwing them out. So they would put them in a bowl or whatever and add some type of custard base or milk or whatever and baked it, and it became known as a peasant's type of bread. And then as it evolved over the centuries, upper crust decided, oh, let's do bread pudding. And so now bread pudding for chefs such as myself, we use stale croissants. You can do brioche bread, challah bread, or a good eggy thick bread that can hold up to being soaked overnight in a custard base. So today I'm using croissants, and all I did was pull my old croissants out. I chopped them up and I just let them sit out and dry out some more. You want a dried bread. You do not want a moist bread. You want a dried bread. So all I've done was just cut them to bite-sized pieces, put them inside a buttered baking dish, and it's going to await the custard base. Now with this one, we're going to start off with like 8 eggs. And we're going to beat these eggs on medium high for about about 3 minutes or until it thickens. All right. So you want to whip these on high until the eggs thicken like this. Okay, I'm going to put it back on low, and I'm going to go ahead and add my milk and my heavy cream. This is a very rich custard. I like milk and I like heavy cream when I make anything that has a custard base, particularly if I'm going to be baking it. Now to that, I'm going to add about a half teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and about a half teaspoon of nutmeg. I like to use whole nutmeg. It lasts longer, and every time, get you a good microplaner. I'm going to stop this. Then all you do is just press it over it, put your microplane over, and just grate your nutmeg. To me, this is a better version of nutmeg. It's fresh. When you microplane it, it's fresh. So this is a whole nutmeg. I like this because if you use the ground nutmeg, the shelf life on ground nutmeg is not really long, whereas this, it lasts longer. So I'm going to stir a little more, get everything together. Then I'm going to add my vanilla. All right, now I'm going to add my salt and my sugar. Going to mix this well. So now that we have all the ingredients in here, we want to beat this for about a minute. We want to make sure everything is blended, which is one of the reasons that we beat the eggs for about 3 minutes before we added everything else. Smells really good. Smells really good. All right. Okay. I'm going to drop this. Take the beater out. I just want to show you how creamy this is. Just look at that. See that pretty color? So now all we're going to do is very carefully pour this over our dried or stale bread. Again, you can use croissants. You can use challah bread, brioche, but you need a good bread. Now, if all of your mixture doesn't fit, that's fine. You can always save it and freeze it for later. So now that we're going to let this sit, make sure all the bread soaks up all the custard. You want to get you a spatula to make sure that you can lift up the bread at the bottom and make sure that the custard gets to that. So it won't take long for it to soak up everything. And that's why it needs to be dried out bread. So we're going to set this to the side and cover it with saran wrap. Then I'm going to let it chill here in the low boy. And then next we're going to prepare the praline topping. So stay tuned. Hi, so now we're going to make our praline topping. But before we start, someone asked me what else can I add into a bread pudding to differentiate the flavors. A couple things you can do. You can use oranges. You can zest the orange and then add that to your custard. And you can add the juice of that orange. The best way to do it is however much juice you place inside your custard, take out that much milk or heavy cream. Or you can add bourbon to it. If you add bourbon to it, the same thing. For all the liquid that you add to your custard base, take that liquid out. And you can also add bourbon as an extract to your praline topping as well. So you have some options as far as bread pudding. It doesn't have to be vanilla. It can be an orange bread pudding. It can be a bourbon type of bread pudding. It can be a whiskey type of bread pudding. Whatever you would like to do to it is real easy to do. So now, inside here we have melted butter that has started to melt. We have brown sugar, and we have pecans. If you have a nut allergy, you do not have to use pecans. So all you're doing at this time is just stirring it well. I'm just using a rubber spatula. Just want to mix everything well. Once I mix everything well, I'm going to add in about a half teaspoon of cinnamon. It's real simple. And you have a beautiful topping for your bread pudding. Now this also includes maple syrup, but we don't add maple syrup until we're getting ready to put it in the oven. But for now, I'm going to take out my bread pudding. It's still, and all I'm going to do is just pour the praline topping on top. or scoop it or whatever. That's all you're doing. Just pouring this goodness on top. And right when you get ready to bake, as I mentioned earlier, just pour about a quarter cup of maple syrup or any syrup that you have on top. And that's it. We're going to cover this back up, let this sit overnight, and then we're going to bake it in the morning. We'll be back. Welcome back. We have taken the bread pudding out of the oven, and here you have a very decadent, delicious croissant bread pudding. Let it cool for slightly before you try to eat it. You'll thank me later. And again, thank you for stopping by Mrs. Joe's Petite Eats Patisserie and Cafe here in Tysons Corner, Virginia. Have a great day.